Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to our show. We have gathered together from the cosmic reaches of the multiverse, two of the nerdiest geeks to be found. We proudly present the Professor and her geeky girlness herself, Ace. And now it's time. GeekyKOOL presents Professor and Ace.
Hey everybody, welcome to GeekyKOOL presents Professor and Ace, episode 74.
Wow!
I know it's a lot of episodes. I'm excited though.
It is.
So we're moving closer to 100.
Right.
With us today, we are glad to have Shpoo from Skallywag Productions with us. Glad you're here, my friend.
Hey.
Well, we couldn't talk about anything Star Wars without Shpoo.
Yeah.
Well, I understand. That's because Star Wars is my jam too. So yeah, I know you do.
I'm just here to add some girl perspective.
I think you, but I think you kind of enjoyed this one though, right? So
I've enjoyed all of the I've enjoyed a lot of the Disney Plus series, including the Marvel ones. So I'm liking what they're doing with both franchises on Disney Plus. So yeah,
I definitely agree. Well, for those that don't know, tonight we're going to talk about the Book of Boba Fett. Season 1 had just ended earlier this week. They dropped the final episode 7. If you haven't seen it all, pause now, come back, or just be okay with spoilers, one or the other, because we're going to spoil the snot out of this and talk about what we liked and did not like about this series.
And a couple things you might have missed.
A couple things. See, there you
go. I got a few things.
Now we're talking. That's what I like to hear.
I have nothing. Just opinions. That's all I have here.
So I do have to say there have been times when I was watching it. So the first 3 episodes I watched with my son Logan. And then after that, he got distracted with other things. And every time I'd want to watch it, he did not want to watch it. He's like, oh, I'm doing this, Dad. So I'm like, fine, I'm going to go and watch them without you. But the first 3 episodes, I found myself stopping and explaining to him, oh, that's what this is. Oh, look here.
Real quick, Professor. So as other times I've been on this show, occasionally my phone likes to get this underwater robot sound. So if I jump out and then jump back in occasionally, that's why. Kind of like this.
And now for something completely different.
I don't know. We're having audio issues with both our phones, so I don't know. But
it is an oddity.
Yeah, right. It's us. We're all about the oddities.
Yeah, exactly.
So Logan, you were having to explain things to Logan?
Well, there were just things that I saw that I pointed out to him. Oh, this is who this character is. Oh, this is who this is. And I don't think that's what caused him to be, not as interested. And I think he got mad when he came in when I'm watching episode 6. He's like, "You're watching without me." Yeah, because you won't commit to watching it. So, well, what episode did we end on? Well, we ended on episode 3. You're going to have to go back and watch them.
Right.
And I don't mind watching them with you again.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to delay for weeks because I did. I did not. I watched 4, 5, and 6 in the same week because I was waiting on him for too long, and I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Miss Mandy says this to us. Hi. Hola, Mandy.
Hi, Mandy.
I love Mandy.
I know, isn't she awesome?
She is. I can't wait to see her in April.
I know. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, you need to mark your calendar for April for OzCon. What's the dates on OzCon again?
22nd through the 24th.
There you go.
West
Unfortunately, it's the same time as Planet Comic-Con in Kansas City, but this is going to be a lot more fun.
But and there's one in particular reason why you should come to OzCon instead of the other ones.
Especially on Saturday.
Yeah.
Because of Mandy.
Well, okay, so 2 reasons. Mandy and all of the guys from OzCon, they're all awesome.
They are.
But the 23rd, that Saturday, is mine and this one's wedding day. We will be getting married at OzCon I think we're planning on we are planning on streaming it, right?
Yes, we are.
On here?
Yes, we are. And for those that may not have been watching carefully, as Shpoo pointed, he did point to Ace and not me, just so you know.
I mean,
and then I looked up at you to ask the question.
Yeah, exactly. Looking up lovingly at me. Yes, we are going to be videotaping it. Exactly.
Here's the thing with OzCon. I feel every year OzCon announces their dates, and then the week later, another con, and it's not always the same con, announces their dates, and it's always the same week.
Yep.
And I just feel bad because OzCon is an amazing small con. Now, it's not as big as like Kansas City, PlanetCon, or any of those things. It's not as big as VisionCon even, but it is a great small con, and it is perfect for people who want to dip their toe into the con world. Like if you want to see what a con's like, but you're afraid of like the big cons or something like that, this is great. So,
well, and I'll say I've been to a lot of different conventions over the years of different sizes. Some of them big, some of them small. They all have good things about them. I've never left a con thinking that it was horrible. But OzCon, you feel like you're a part of the family. Yep. They greet you in such a way. They're just wonderful people. So I'm excited to go back and excited for your guys' wedding. So I'm very excited for that. We'll be having a good time. It will be a themed wedding for those that don't know.
Yeah. And we will be in themed cosplay, but our guests do not have to follow our theme, but you can come and cosplay. It's all about the fun. So
cosplay is encouraged.
Yes, we would love to see like all of our attendees and guests be like all, costumed out. That would be amazing.
That will be amazing. I'm excited for it, and I kind of have a job during that, so I'm excited. So it'll be good. All right. So Mandy's got a couple other comments here. Your husband started watching Witcher without you. I'm assuming it's because you weren't willing to watch it with them. No, I'm assuming that's not the reason. I'm assuming he just got super excited and went and watched it.
I still have not dipped my toes into The Witcher yet. It's one of those I keep meaning to, but like every time I have the availability to do so, I'm just like, nah.
I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
I've heard nothing but good things, but for some reason it's just like, meh.
It's on the list,
it's like Game of Thrones. When Game of Thrones first came out, like the first about 2.5 seasons, I watched it religiously. But I noticed that as soon as the season ended, I couldn't tell you a single thing that had happened in the season that I just watched. And then after about midway through season 3, I'm just like, I just don't care. It just didn't get me. And then I never looked back. And it's kind of like that, where it's like, this show looks really cool, looks like something that's right up my alley. Everybody's saying it's amazing, but I don't know.
Give it a chance. Just give it a chance.
I need to. I need to just
make sure you don't bother dipping my toes
in. Just jump in head first.
You have to make sure to pay your Witcher, but other than that, I think you'll enjoy it. So
we'll just have to make time.
Let me know, because I've seen season 2. I really enjoyed season 2. Mandy, I hope you get caught up on season 2 if you're not caught up, because season 2 was a lot of fun. She says because of our work schedule. That'll do it. That's sad. That's hard to deal with, but yeah. I get that completely.
Right.
She also says OzCon's a really great con, which it is, and it's family friendly. And that's very true. You can bring the whole family and not worry about it.
Yeah. I was just talking to Ashley about the grandkids, because Ashley's going to be there, and all 4 of the grandkids, and she's like, can I bring them? And I'm like, I would encourage it.
Lex had an amazing time.
Yeah. So they're all going to be at the wedding and hang out that day before the con and stuff like that, or before the wedding at the con. So it'll be fun.
So this is totally off topic, but I just got to say, like, I knew it was a thing, but like, there's people watching, so I have to say it, but you can really tell how much weight I've lost on camera. Sorry, I just had to point. I can't help. I keep looking at myself like, wow.
Surgery will do that to you.
Yeah.
It's true. That's true. Well, they've got that law that the mass stays consistent throughout the universe. So if one person loses, another person has to gain. Thanks, Shpoo. That's what I'm saying.
I told him, I was like, I don't want to be the fat one at the wedding. I want us to be equal. I don't think that's going to happen.
I have I've been talking about it, even mentioned it a few times for a couple of reasons, but going back on the diet that they had me be on, and one reason was, I'm still having some issues when it comes to eating, but but just not just that, but also I dropped 20 pounds in just over 2 weeks.
Wow.
So yeah,
that's amazing. Congratulations.
Liquid diets, yeah. But he was
well, you say congratulations, but it wasn't a choice.
Well, I know, but hopefully all of that's happening.
Well, I'll take it.
Right, exactly. Give me the benefit. If you have to go through this over here, you might as well get this benefit over here. So.
Right.
Most definitely.
Well,
all right. So
let's talk about the Book of Boba Fett.
The Book of Boba Fett.
Okay, so first of all, how excited were you guys when Mandalorian season 2 hit and you got Boba Fett back, and then in that last episode where it was they announced and they had that picture and
that first episode where he shows up, where they're on the planet and you see Slave One show up, and by the way, speaking of which, let me jump in here real quick. So if you've watched Book of Boba Fett, there was the episode where it's showing the flashback and Boba talks to Fennec Shand about going. He says, help me go get back my, fire spray gunship. And everybody online was like, oh, they changed the name. It's not Slave One anymore. It's the fire spray. No, that is not correct. It is still Slave One. The type of ship is and always has been a fire spray gunship. If he was help me go get back Slave One, she'd be like, what the hell is Slave One? So he's said, help me get back my type of ship. It would be like saying, help me go get back my X-Wing versus help me go get back AA-23, So just throwing that out there. But when he first showed up in Mando, I was completely giddy, giggling and smiling from ear to ear. And we finally, it was kind of like that Vader scene at the end of Rogue One, where we kind of got this, we've always heard all these stories about how dangerous of a guy Boba Fett is, and we never really got to see that, and we finally got to see that.
Right.
And even if it was just for a few minutes. And so, of course, I was just over the moon. And of course, we knew he was going to return. Right. He was too big of a cash cow for Disney to ever not bring him back. But so just to finally have that confirmation, here he is in all his glory. New suit, looks cool. I like the black, looks great. I wish he would leave his helmet on more often, but whatever. So then they tease he's getting his own show, and I'm like, awesome, even better. Then the show comes out, and I will admit, the first 2-3 episodes, I was like, what is this? I don't like this. I liked it, but it's like, no, I don't. He's getting his. That first episode, he's surrounded by guys with energy shields and whatnot, and they're kicking his butt. I'm like, did you forget you're wearing a jetpack, dude? Just straight out the middle, you're good. But he's getting his butt handed to him. He's just being a nice guy. I don't want to see Boba Fett be a good guy. Okay, granted, he's never truly been a bad guy. He's just a guy for hire that happened to be hired by the bad guys. But
they tend to have more money.
Yeah, he just had his own agenda. So it just I don't know, but the episode where we got to see him go after the swoop bite gang and kill the Sarlacc and all that was the episode where I'm like, okay, now That visual of Slave One flying down and shooting those guys down, coolest shot in all of Star Wars, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, see, and I had because I like storytelling, so I actually liked the first couple episodes because I felt like, one, yes, if you've read the books, you know about Boba Fett, but if you have just seen the movies, Boba Fett, they mention him, and you know he's like this dangerous guy, but he's not in the movies for very long. You don't get to know his character.
He's got like a total of 6 minutes of screen time.
Right.
Yes.
Through 2 movies.
For 2 movies.
Well,
and so
he did have 15 minutes in the animated short inside of the holiday special.
Yeah.
Right. But so I felt like this was good because unless you've seen those, like, the Clone Wars and read the books and all this stuff, if you've just seen the movies, this gives you more of a feel of who Boba Fett is as a person, and not just this random.
Well, and not just that. We also this was the first time we actually got to see what is the life of a Tusken Raider like.
Right.
And that,
we've just known them as these savages that live out in the desert, and we knew nothing about them. And so that was cool. I liked most of that. But and I did like it. I just didn't like how passive and weak he came across, I guess.
But I don't.
It was just like, what is this? I don't. Yeah.
But he's one without his armor.
Yeah.
Okay, 2.
Well, in the flashbacks, but I even mean like the present day stuff.
Well, I think he's just trying to change.
Once we had the episode with Fennec Shand shows up, where we kind of got to understand why is he doing this.
Right.
That at that point it was like, okay, I get it. He's done the bounty hunter thing for his life. He's like, it's gotten me nothing but grief. I'm working for all of these guys that are just horrible people, and they're just going to eventually get me killed. And getting tossed into the pit of Carcoon kind of proved that, which I really wish they would have spent just that much more time with the Sarlacc thing. But whatever. So yeah, it made sense where he's just like, I've been a loner my entire life, and everybody needs a tribe and a purpose.
Well,
and that's what I'm going to do with the rest of my life now.
He's been a loner, but he's been a kind of a social loner. Or like if you go back to,
he's always had a team.
He likes having a team. And so, but you don't see that in the first movies.
Yeah.
The movies, you didn't see that. You just saw him being, this bounty hunter who's going after people for Jabba and, all that stuff. And the thing is I like it because like I said, I like the storytelling. I did love what they did with him learning how to fight differently and and become part of not just like a team, but kind of like a family. Because if you know his history, his dad was killed, and he doesn't have a family. Like he didn't have a family after that. Like, so I kind of liked that. And I think that it was very much a growth situation for him. And it allows him to go forward in, the rest of this series, growing. Like I did not necessarily like the flashback thing. Like I didn't like that he must have had that audio problem, but I didn't like that how they were telling the story. I didn't like that you see him now and then he's in his what is that thing called where the healing thing?
Back to tank.
Thank you. This is why I'm on here with you guys, because you know the names for everything.
I've never been beaten at Star Wars trivia.
Right. And I'm just like, that thing. But when he's in that and he's like having these flashback memories, I didn't like that. I think that they could have done it in a chronological way, and I think it would have still made sense, and I would have liked it better. I didn't like the jumping back and forth the first 3 episodes.
I absolutely agree. And the biggest, if for no other reason than like from the time that the show begins with him escaping the Sarlacc to the time that he officially gets his armor back, how much time passed?
Right, we don't
because
know.
there is a random line of dialogue in there where he says that time I spent in the Sarlacc all those years ago.
Yeah.
So literally, the time he spent years with the Sarlacc, with the Sand People.
Yeah.
So like you just don't get a real sense of how much time has actually passed here, and I think that would actually make things make his decisions have a bigger impact.
I agree.
Well, they said Mando took place the first season
5 years after
5 years after Return.
Yeah.
So you would have to think that's kind of that time period. So,
and this is now a year after that. So it's been 6 years.
So if he's crawling out of the Sarlacc, hopefully that's happening in relative short order within at least a week or two. But
the sail barge was still had smoke coming out of it. So anywhere from a couple of hours to a few days, maybe a week.
Right. So then you do have that 5-year period you have to account for. So I'm assuming most of that happened with him with the Sand People. So
yeah.
But that's the and I think it would have played better if they would have done it chronologically, because then you would have had this like sequence. But the flashbacks, and I get it, they just wanted flashbacks of like what was important within those years and stuff.
Right.
But I don't think it was necessary. I think it was.
It also gives you a new kind of opportunity though. If we say season 2 or whatever, they could completely feasibly not even tell a current story for an entire season if they wanted to. Just do flashbacks via the Bacta tank. So we can see other adventures, maybe even other characters' adventures that happened before all of this, thanks to Bacta tank flashbacks.
Well, let's just put it this way. If that Bacta tank causes people to remember things, you know who's going in there after the season finale.
Yeah.
He tells him he's putting him in there. Wouldn't you like to see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be interesting. So
you know what I'm talking about.
We do have this comment from Andy, which she put on about 10 minutes ago. And that's okay. The fire spray is the make and model of the jalopy. Yeah. So it's very much like
I love that.
Firefly in the series. Firefly was actually called Serenity, but Firefly was the model. So.
Right. Yes. Well, it's like saying, it's like naming your car. Like if my car's name, I had a car named Remus. My Toyota was named Remus, but it was a Toyota.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And it's always been that way. That isn't some new piece of information. It's always been a fire spray gunship.
All right. So what did you think of the first couple episodes, Professor?
So let me answer your first question with if I was excited or not.
Yes.
So last week I had Ray on, and that was an amazing time. Ray and I talked a little bit about Book of Boba Fett. It was interesting because she does not have a fondness for Boba Fett that I do. And we kind of talked about part of that being my age. When I was introduced to Boba Fett, he was this mysterious character. The Star Wars action figure came out where you put in all of these proofs things to get the Boba Fett. There was this mysterious thing. My one friend who had some money, he had enough and got that. And that thing was so cool. And then, of course, we see him in this holiday special, which is the only redeeming part of the holiday special, other than unless you like Princess Leia singing, I guess. I don't know. So then you're, as a kid, you're like, who is this? This is so cool. And then you only get to see him a little tiny bit. Empire Strikes Back. And he's just in it just enough to wet your mouth like, oh my gosh, this is so cool.
The fact that Vader has to single him out amongst all these bounty hunters, no disintegration.
Exactly. So you have that, then you get him in Return just at the beginning, and then so you're like, here's this wasted character of this amazing character. And it wasn't wasted, but it made you want more. So I've been wanting more of Boba Fett since 1983.
Yeah.
I've been like, I need more of this character. So now, in her perspective was, basically she didn't see the appeal because she was younger. She, didn't have to wait 3 years in between movies like what we did. She was given a set of books one summer. The only books she had to read were these Boba Fett books, and apparently they weren't very well written, according to her. So she does not have the love for Boba Fett that I do. And that's understandable. Everybody's different there. But it was just fascinating because I was so excited to see Boba Fett in season 2 of The Mandalorian. And so happy that he kept returning, that we actually didn't just get that one little shot of him and then wonder what happens and be left to it. He comes in, became the little fight with him and Mando on the planet where they're trying to save Grogu. That was amazing. That was so cool. And then you get this. So I came in super psyched. Right. So the first few episodes, you're wondering, is this going to have action to it? But I also agree. I was enjoying the storytelling. Yeah. And I don't mind the flashbacks. Actually, I find that a good way to kind of break some things up for me is if you're going to tell the history, a whole episode telling the history. Okay. I mean, I like that because I want to know the history, but I kind of like it broken up better. But I got so used to that with Lost, I guess. So yeah. Now at Lost, after you do it for 7 seasons, it gets a little old, but for a few episodes, I did not mind that at all. So that part did not bother me. I enjoyed the Sand People. I enjoyed. Oh yeah. I thought that was really cool to find out more about them because that is one of those characters you're like, what in the world?
You don't know anything about them. Like you know they fight. Like that's pretty much all you know about them.
But you don't know why they're fighting, why they're raising things up, while they're shooting the guns they are.
You don't understand the meaning behind the weapons they have. Right. Like this introduced all of their traditions and their cultures. So it opened up a whole new culture for Star Wars.
Yes.
Because there's so many stories that can be told in this universe. And, we focused on, for all these movies, like the Skywalker line of stories, and I like that we're now getting all of these different characters and these different species and these different and we're understanding them a little bit better. And I actually found the Tusken Raiders to be very, very intriguing. Like yes.
I want to cosplay as that warrior.
The one with the
dude looked awesome.
He did. I agree.
And they fight. Like once you understand why or how they're trained and that they start training at such a young age and they go through basically like a vision quest type of thing. It's very Native American. But for Sand People, like
right.
It's a thing. I really enjoyed that. And I liked that. I know a lot of people I was talking to did not like that aspect. They were like, we just wanted to see Boba Fett fight. And I'm like, but it gave him a whole new reason to fight.
Right.
Like he's not going back to bounty hunting at this time. He doesn't have his armor. He doesn't have his ship. He doesn't have any of that stuff. He's stuck out in the sands, and he takes the opportunity to grow as a person and train.
Right.
So I liked it. Yeah. So that's basically, what episodes 1, 2, and part of 3.
Yep.
There were little elements sprinkled throughout that I didn't like. Overall, I really did like it a lot, but like I didn't like the I don't even know what to call it. Like it wasn't really slow, but it was. It wasn't really cheesy, but it was.
Right.
And then, so like the only aspects of it that I just didn't like at all, I don't like the cyberpunk kids. That does not feel like Star Wars to me at all. The mods, I don't like it. But okay, whatever. But in the last episode, I guess it's so like nitpicky things, like the mods and whatever would be the biggest thing that I don't like. Okay, I don't like how. And then you saw this quite a bit in Mando also, but like characters like the Nikto and stuff like that, they just look like dudes wearing masks and talking like this. And it looks bad. It looks cheap. It looks very low budget.
So we talked basically about episodes 1, 2, and part of 3, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the others.
And then I was about to say, and then probably my biggest beef in the final episode, you got
We're not there yet.
I mean, just the one part of it. You've got like the whole thing, massive action scene, shootout, big thing, whatever. Only one person on the good guy's side got shot. One.
No, more than that got shot. That's the only one that I think died.
Well, yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
We thought
one random extra in the background got gunned down.
But I mean, let's face it. It's Star Wars. The bad guys are always bad shots.
I know, but that's why you've got extra cannon fodder, and it's just weird that didn't happen.
Right. So what? So we get to Jabba's palace, which is now Boba Fett's. Let's just face it. And he's taken over. And then they open up, like when they have all those people come in and they open up the pit. You were super disappointed that there wasn't anything in there.
Well, I mean, I didn't know what to expect. I thought, okay, he's dropping Black Chrysanthemum in there, which Black Chrysanthemum, so glad. Because, of course, knew him from the comics and all that fun stuff. Awesome character. To see him in live action, amazing. But we knew the Rancor was dead, but it's like, well, Fennec Shand had said something about feeding, if you would have said that to Jabba, he would have fed you to his menagerie. That suggests that there's other things down there.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, it's obviously you're not going to kill off Black Chrysanthemum right away, so or at all for that matter, but so yeah, to just drop him down there and just be like, it's empty was just, I don't know. I wasn't disappointed because I thought it was dumb. I was disappointed because I was hoping there was something else down there.
Right. But he does get something.
Yeah, he does. And I never thought I would think that something like that would be cute. Well, what's funny is so he gets a baby Rancor.
So cute.
From the Hutts.
From the Hutts. That's the thing. From the Hutts.
From the Hutts, yes. The Hutt twins that are Jabba's cousins.
Right. And they come there and they want to take
how disappointed were you that it wasn't Zero?
A little bit, yes.
Yeah. But anyway,
yes.
So although Zero's voice always bothered me, so that would have not translated to live action. But
I'll be right
to
back.
think that a baby Rancor is adorable is weird. But anyway, as soon as it showed up on screen, I had said something about there used to be the courtship of Princess Leia. One of the old Legends books actually talked about the witches of Dathomir would ride them like horses, and that they're actually nice creatures. And not 15 seconds later, he says the same thing, and I'm like, oh my god, they actually made that canon. That actually happened quite a few times throughout the run of the show. I would say something from Legends, and then they would bring it in.
You're exactly right. They've been doing that with Mando also, where they're bringing things in that was kind of the extended universe let go,
audio,
making it canon. So that's a really cool thing when you're like, oh, this is now canon. I'm hoping that they're going to make Mara Jade canon at some point, but we'll see.
So just so you guys know why I jumped off is because I got a message on Facebook from D, and D says that the star of the Book of Boba Fett is the lizard that crawls up his nose, and we can't change his mind.
Yeah. That was wild, by the way.
Yeah.
And I'm having flashbacks to to Wrath of Khan at that point, and
Right.
of course that's going in through the ear, but still, I mean,
Right.
I like.
But-
Why are you not on? Oh yeah, you're moving. That's right. I was like, why are you
He's
not on
moving.
here?
Yeah, right. He's like, he has boxes.
I forgot. Yeah, he's moving.
Got a house. But
It's about time, by the way.
but I just wanted to hop off here because it said I had a message from him, and I was like, I'm gonna go see what he wanted. But that's part of that vision quest that we were talking about with the Tusken Raiders. All the Tusken Raiders go through this lizard going up into their brain, basically.
And you wonder why they wear the head wrap. I don't know.
We now know.
We now know that Jawas are furry underneath their wrappings. I want to know what a fan person looks like.
Oh my god! Do you want to explain to us how we know that Jawas are?
Because Peli, if you don't remember who Peli is, she's the mechanic in Mos Eisley from Mando, played by Amy Sedaris.
And she's amazing.
The one that looks like Ripley. Yeah. She apparently dated a Jawa.
Did you see the meme with her doing the dating game with the Jawas over on the side?
I did not.
I'm rolling. I'll see if I can find that.
That's hilarious.
Oh my god!
I know that right there. When she said that, oh yeah, I dated a Jawa. What?
I know.
I just was like,
was like,
I never would have pictured them being furry.
No, yeah, right. No, not.
I would never picture somebody dating one. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Hey, if you live in the middle of the desert and there's not much opportunity,
she's a mechanic. She can figure something out and make something.
You know,
I'm just
there
saying.
you go.
But no, that was just like, it was funny. I did like the humor that, like, I always liked her. She brought humor to The Mandalorian, and she brought more humor to this. But I did like her in this. I like that they expanded her a little bit more in this as well. But no, baby Rancor, like, super cute. It came on, by the way. It came on, and I was like, oh my gosh. And he's like, he was just this. Like, he's super excited. He does this little happy dance when there's something super fun on TV. Or he'll go like, yes! You know, and he did that a lot. But
he almost jumped off the couch in the final episode. Which there's people all over online talking about how bad the last episode was. I thought it was fantastic.
I did too. I
thought it was the best episode of the season.
I agree. Dee's got something else to say, by the way.
Cool.
Porn reference. Wait, is that a Jawa dressed like a furry, or?
You know, that could make a really interesting cosplay, right? You dress up as a furry and then a Jawa up.
So, like, just Jawa robes, but like a furry head?
Oh, no. That's not.
Actually, anybody that gets that, if you did that, anybody that got the joke, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes. But also, I really liked, we talked about the Tusken Raiders and learning more about that, but that we learn more about the Rancor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we learn more about why they do what they do, and that they are trainable, and that
You're right.
They imprint on the first human or first creature they see becomes their parent.
Yeah.
Like, who would have thought that? Like, they're just this creature that, you know, we've seen that likes to eat anything that gets thrown in their pit.
Just a big, dumb monster. Yeah.
Right. But they have feelings. And I really liked that. I loved when Boa was like, when he got, you know, they took the eye thing off. Are you having the audio? He's having the audio probably.
He is having the audio pretty bad tonight. The interesting thing was, you know, in Return of the Jedi, when we're introduced to the Rancor, after the Rancor dies, you've got the trainer there who's crying.
Right.
So, you know, they open up the pit after Luke kills the Rancor, and the trainer is just bawling his eyes out. And I always thought that was an interesting scene. And this really kind of adds to that. I'm like, okay, now I kind of get that more. That makes more sense to me.
It'd be like his child dying.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And I love that it comes in and it's got patches over its eyes, and you're not sure why. Like, you really aren't. And I love it when he explains the first thing they see becomes who they respond to or what they respond to, and they become loyal to that. It's kind of like imprinting on something, and I love that he lifted that up, and it was Boba Fett that is the first living thing that he saw. And at that point, that this is now going to be a relationship that's going to expand. And then I loved it when he was like, people ride them, and Boba Fett is like, I want to learn to ride. Teach me this.
Right.
But we didn't see that before. That's kind of what I love about these series, because they're allowing the creators to expand on these, like I said, characters or species or races that we just don't really know that much about.
Right.
I just found it, and it's the ugliest cute thing ever. Or the cutest, ugliest thing ever. I don't know which way that would go. It's really ugly, but it's so cute at the same time. And it's a baby. It's like a baby. I was like...
Mandy's got a comment about this while we're on the Rancor.
Yeah.
She wants to know if we can talk about Danny.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah, seeing Danny Trejo in Star Wars was a treat.
Right? It was. And as a Rancor handler, I mean, that kind of fits. You're like, okay, I totally buy that. 100% buy that.
Yeah.
I'm in.
And it made sense. And I like it. You would think it would be easy for him, because it's who he is, to kind of steal the scene, but he doesn't.
Right.
Which is really cool. He literally lends himself to the scene, and the scene is actually about the Rancor.
Yeah, they didn't like draw attention and be like, "Hey guys, look, it's Danny Trejo." It was just kind of just like, "Oh, here's this Rancor trainer, and he just happens to be played by Danny Trejo."
Exactly. I really love that. And here's the fun thing. So we see in the last episode, we get to see the baby again, the Rancor again, and Shpoo forgot about him. He forgot he existed.
I did.
I knew he was going to play a part somewhere, but I wouldn't have guessed what had happened. So
right.
So no, that was really cool. Oh, and I love that Mando tries to get on him and ride him, because he's seeing Boba Fett ride him.
Frustrating.
And Mando gets on, and then he gets knocked off right away because he doesn't have that relationship.
He doesn't.
Which Mando wouldn't know that all that behind the story.
Because nobody knows these things about them. Like only the trainers know this stuff. Because to everyone else, they're just this man-eating creature.
Right.
Monster. Thing to be feared.
Well, I love that they kept it consistent. They didn't let Mando ride him. Right. I think that was important. That was really kind of a cool moment. We're like, oh, Mando's going to get, oh, yeah, because he doesn't have that relationship. That makes sense. Oh, wow. So
the big conflict is between Boba Fett and the Spice Runners, basically.
Well, and the government.
But they're the Spice Runners.
And the mayor and the whole governmental setup of how that's run, because that's really a big part of it, because the mayor's who brings those Spice Runners in. Right.
It reminds me, and we were talking about this, and Shpoo was watching a video about it, and it reminds me so much. People don't realize how much influence Dune had on Star Wars until you watch this, and then you're like, wait, they have what? It's a thing.
Spice from a desert planet to then an intergalactic empire to just Jedi. All sorts of stuff. Yeah, the Jedi.
Force. I mean, it's a different kind of thing, but I thought it was really cool that Boba Fett is not as concerned with money as you would think he would be running this. Like, he's now the new,
Godfather, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which also this series, that's another thing. Shpoo
Well,
watched
the
a video.
entire final episode followed Godfather Part 2, like almost
Right.
shot for shot. Well, not shot for shot, but beat for beat.
Right. But it's just very much he's taken Jabba's place, but he's benevolent.
Right.
Yeah.
And you, I just thought that was a very interesting thing. They could have made him not like that.
Right.
Who were some of your guys' favorite characters that they either introduced or reintroduced that you got to see?
The obvious answer to that would be Cad Bane.
Yes. I was going to
that.
ask about Cad there. Yeah. Yeah.
To see him in live action was awesome. The only thing I didn't like about, everybody was making, talking about his face looked weird. I didn't mind that so much. I just hated how the dude that played him was just a slump, just arms at his side, didn't really move, just stood there perfectly still and talked. I was like, do something, man. And but the thing I mentioned earlier about things you might have missed, and of course, major spoiler for the final episode here. Of course, Boba brings out the gaffy stick and stabs him and kills Cad Bane.
After the high noon kind of duel in the street.
Right.
Yeah. And Cad Bane, of course, if you haven't watched Clone Wars or Rebels or whatever, any of that stuff, this is the guy. He pretty much kind of hunted Jedi, and he kind of has all these gadgets and things that are like anything that I've ever been attacked with that I wasn't prepared for. I will now introduce something to my getup that will prepare me for that should it ever happen again.
Right.
And on his chest, if you watch, there's this little piece right here that's got a little red light on it. And when Boba stabs him, and you have to watch this like in slow motion to even notice it, really, it starts blinking.
Yes.
It's a heart monitor.
I did see that.
Cad Bane may not be dead.
Well, I hope he's not.
Which it would be so strange to introduce a character that's been that huge throughout all of this stuff that's been, Clone Wars, Rebels, all of those things. We finally get him in live action for 10 minutes, maybe?
Well, I mean, he goes to Freetown.
Yeah.
First. So we see him not against Boba Fett at first. Right. We see him in Freetown. And so we see him there for a few minutes, and then he goes and negotiates with Boba Fett, and then there's the fight. So he's in 3 major scenes, but it's not enough for the character that he is. Yeah. Plus, he has a huge history with Boba Fett. Now we know it's canon because that's
something else that's actually really cool. There was so you had Clone Wars was running, Disney buys out Lucasfilm, and so they canceled Clone Wars for a couple of years, and then they bring it back. Well, they were working on a new season when it was canceled. Right. And one of the episodes that was supposed to be in that new season actually dealt with Boba Fett and Cad Bane. And it ended with them having a duel. And this was like the first time Boba actually had the armor and all this fun stuff. They have their duel. They shoot at the same time, and they both shoot each other in the head. And that's actually where Boba got the dent in his helmet. Cad Bane survived that duel and got a plate put on his head. And that plate was visible in the live action show, which means that episode that never aired is still canon.
Yeah. Which is really cool. They have such a history if you go to that unaired episode, and if you go to, the books and stuff like that. Even the aired episodes. Right. You
mentored him for a while.
But they have such a history. So yes, he doesn't look great, but how hard is it to translate him to live action?
Well, really the only real difference between the live action, the only thing that they did differently with his face is like in the cartoon, of course, everything is kind of over exaggerated.
Right.
And in the cartoon, Cad Bane has a very, very thin, like almost emaciated looking face.
Right. So they took
and in this, he just looks like a Duros.
Right, but they tried to enhance that by making that go in a little bit more and stuff. But he's one of those characters that's very hard to translate, I would think, as a costume designer and as a makeup artist and stuff into a live action. Like, I'm sorry, because he's only been seen in
No, I think I disagree with that. I think like we've seen other Duros in live action and stuff, and like if they would have just really thinned out his face to make it more rigid,
right?
I think that would have done the trick. I mean, Duros they age like humans do.
Right.
So he's an old man essentially here. He's probably
Boba Fett says he's an old man.
Late 50s, 60s, 70s. So yeah, just if they would have just taken this area here, brought it out slightly, and just put some hard lines there, he would have looked just like the cartoon.
I don't think it was bad. Like I
don't either. I thought it looked fine.
But people who are like really critical of it, I just think that for them to translate it to live action, I think they did a good job.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think it was bad. I just think it was,
I think that the way that they did it makes him look younger than he is.
Right.
And that's really what it boils down to. He's a little more full, filled out, and it makes him look younger when he's supposed to be an old man.
Well, yeah, because Boba Fett's old.
Yeah, you guys.
Boba Fett's older than he should be.
I know Shpoo will know this, and I don't know if Ace knows this or not, but some of our viewers may not know this. So Cad Bane was actually based on a Western star.
Yes. From the good, the bad, the ugly.
Look at the gun. I mean, even the facial features.
Yep, from the good, the bad, and ugly.
Yes, it is, and a lot of other movies, but yeah, especially Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, right there.
And, yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and even just like the way he holds himself and the way he flips the coat to expose the gun.
Exactly.
Like, all of that is from that movie.
Like, and that was what I was going to say about it, especially the coat flip. Really, you can see that clearly. We're like, oh, they got that perfect. The coat flip
back.
It
was done really well.
And I was waiting for the music. Wah, wah, wah. If they would have done that, I would have freaked out and been cheering. So
right.
I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. So yeah, that was a really cool character. I was so excited to see them introduce him. Because we've got some other ones from Clone Wars and Rebels that have been introduced recently with Mandalorian, including Ahsoka and some other ones that.
And she's in this.
Yes, she is, which is a really interesting part. So. Right.
And it's also somebody we've already kind of quickly mentioned, but Black Chrysanthemum.
Yes, he is.
Yes.
Awesome.
And by the way, talking about him, did you see the tweet from? Oh my gosh, my brain just went out. The guy who played Chewbacca,
Peter Mayhew.
Yes, his wife had tweeted out to the actor playing him and said, "Welcome to the Wookiee family."
Aww.
So it was a really cool tweet because
there was a very, very, very subtle thing, and this is another thing, probably quite possibly the biggest thing that you may have missed in the entire season. So back during Mando season 2, the episode that introduced Ahsoka, we find out that Grogu was on Coruscant at the Jedi Temple when Order 66 happened, and that somebody saved him from the temple for some reason and then blocked his memory of it. And so in that episode with him and Luke kind of gives him the option of remembering.
Right.
And so we get to see a couple of quick glimpses of him witnessing Order 66 and the 501st coming in.
Which was really
cool. We still don't get to see who it was that saved him. Or do we? Anybody catch that at all?
No.
If you look in the room that he's in, now this obviously doesn't confirm anything, but with Ahsoka's series coming up, it makes sense. There is in the background when it shows the shot of the clone troopers.
Right.
There is a symbol on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all of the Jedi back then had their own little symbol that was like, their little crest or whatever. And that particular crest that was on the wall was the crest for one Barriss Offee.
Yes,
Barriss,
yeah.
during the Clone Wars, was Ahsoka's best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Barriss kind of lost faith in the Jedi way. She's actually she then threw Ahsoka under the bus for some crimes that she herself had done. Ahsoka gets blamed for it, and that's what made Ahsoka leave the Jedi and kind of go off on her own path. And we don't know what happened to Barriss.
Right.
She just up and vanished. But it looks like they are hinting that she was the one that saved Grogu, and with the fact that Ahsoka has her own series coming up, it makes sense.
Right.
So, what did you guys think? Because I've seen.
Also, you could go on Wikipedia, which obviously is not an official site. It is just a fan base, whatever. But if you went on there 3-4 weeks ago, you would see that crest is Barriss's crest. If you go on there now, it says unknown Jedi crest.
Huh.
There you go.
There you go.
Personally, I was hoping it would be Mace Windu.
Right? That's who I know. That's like when they talk about somebody saving him, like in the Mandalorian.
Gotta show up at some point.
Be Mace.
But he's dead.
No, he's not. Lucas confirmed.
So,
of course, he doesn't own it anymore, so it doesn't matter. But Lucas did confirm it.
I've been seeing a lot of criticism of the episodes that are non-Boba episodes.
The last 3 episodes were more about Mando than
the Mando 2.5 reference to it. Yeah.
I made that same comment.
So 5 and 6 are very Mando and Grogu, and
Boba's not even in 5.
I know.
And then in 6, he only shows up for about the last minute and doesn't even say anything.
Yeah. So, how did you guys feel about that? Since it is the Book of Boba.
A little irritated, but those were the best episodes of the season. So, I don't know what that means exactly, but they were great episodes.
I think they were building blocks. I mean,
they were.
You have
and the season finale honestly dealt more it's like, okay, here we're back with Boba finally. Mando shows up, and now it's more about Mando, and Boba even completely leaves for a little while, and we're just all Boba or all Mando until the big moment happens, and then we're okay. Now we're back to Boba. But it was kind of like we had some kind of a slow start to this, and there's we got to establish a few things here, so it's a little different and whatnot. So. Here, have a couple of episodes of stuff that you already know and you already like, so we can go over here and put a few things in place. Okay, cool, we're good to go. All right, go.
Well, and they had to, in order to go forward with Mandalorian.
Yeah,
we have to see Grogu pick Mando over Luke, over the Jedi.
We basically just saw the first episode of season 3.
Right.
Which didn't make me necessarily happy. So
it didn't. Yeah.
Because I was cheering for him to stay. I'll be honest with you. So
I was too.
Because I'm like,
partially because if they take away the cuteness factor, then the ratings will drop, and they can't have that.
Well, but I think you could still have an interweave. I didn't love the fact that you're trying to make him choose.
Yeah, but I don't think that the problem is. At this point with the Jedi and everything, because Luke would never allow that to happen.
Yeah, well, it's like in that episode where it's just like if he sees you, it's going to make it even harder for him.
Right. And but I like that
I wasn't necessarily convinced that Luke was buying fully into this. You can't have any affiliations. I mean, I know that was a very Jedi thing from the past.
Well, because he himself had them up until the last couple of years.
Until he goes and hides on an island.
He's at this point, at the point that this is taking place, he still does, because we know he still has a relationship with his sister.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He still has a friendship with Han. At this point, he still has those things. Right. So I felt like it was weird that he was like, you must choose, but you knew at that point when it was like, you must choose, Grogu's going to choose Mandalorian. I knew, because
now the interesting thing to me is you get a very similar choice with Luke and his friends with Empire Strikes Back. And Luke chooses his friends, but yet still comes back. So, I mean, he could still come back. You could find a way that you could make that feel very much of...
And I think maybe that's kind of what they were hinting at. I mean, how many quotes from Yoda from Empire did we hear during that episode?
Right.
So it's kind of the same thing where it's like, training. You have the option to go see your friends or complete your training. Don't make the wrong choice here. Oh, you went and saw your friends and stuff, and yet you still become a Jedi. So
right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I think if he wouldn't have chosen, I actually think it's the right path. And Luke knows it's the right path because Luke took that path. And I like that. What did you guys think of Luke?
We've got some comments here from Mandy, so let's hit those real quick.
He's a makeup expert. What can I say?
See, there you go. And you're right. Yeah, actually, the whole feel of Mando and of Boba Fett was really very much a Western thing.
Well, especially you've got Star Wars is.
Well, I think Star Wars is less Western, more fantasy typically. Star Trek typically is more Western in a lot of the ways it does things, at least the original series. So, but this is definitely felt very
Star
Western.
Wars has always been samurai Western in space.
I guess that's true. Yeah, more like the Seven Samurai sort of feel. Yeah.
Yeah, but they've taken the cues for different characters from.
See, I disagree because I think if Grogu stays, that means we're in an alternate timeline from the sequels. Because then Luke actually trains him first, and then the whole training academy thing doesn't happen. The problems that happen later with Ben come out differently because he's already trained somebody. So I was actually kind of hoping, because that was one of the fan theories, was it was setting up an alternate timeline to basically mean the sequels never happened.
Yeah.
So
the sequels are void.
I don't hate the sequels.
Right.
There are problems with the sequels, but I don't hate the sequels. But I always thought that was an interesting theory that I kind of somewhat bought into. So then I'm like, oh. So it was disappointing in that factor. Plus, I wanted to see more training. And I was hoping we were going to get to see that. And it'll be interesting because I'm excited for Ahsoka. I want to see what's going to happen there. I'd love to see more Luke. Actually, I would love to do what everybody's calling for and see a little Sebastian Shaw as Luke going forward.
Although,
freaking awesome.
Apparently they after everybody kind of made such a big stink about how Luke looked at the end of Mando, there's a guy that's a YouTuber that specializes in deepfake.
Yeah.
I want to say it's the guy that did all the Tom Cruise deepfake stuff on TikTok. Could be wrong about that, but anyway, they actually brought him in and was like, "Will you deepfake this stuff?" And while yes, when he talks, there's still a little bit of uncanny valley happening there, but compared to how he looked in the final episode of Mando versus now, night and freaking brightest day ever. It was a million times better.
And Shpoo liked it when you got to see him, Luke and Ahsoka on screen.
Oh yeah, seeing Luke and Ahsoka together on screen, that was
cool. Even though, and here's my other thing with Luke telling him you can't have those relationships. I'm still begging for Mara Jade. I'm still begging for that relationship and that character to show up.
There's been a lot.
You can't tell me that you can't
Mara
have
Jade
a relationship and have that Mara and Luke relationship. I mean, especially if you go with right from the books on who Mara Jade was.
There actually is a thing floating around that was saying that somebody had just been cast or something for season 3 of Mando, or maybe it was for Ahsoka, I forget, but that the speculation or the rumor mill or whatever was saying that this was going to be Mara Jade. Of course, they also said that Han was going to show up in Book of Boba, so who knows?
So, right. All I can say is if that happens, I will be out of my mind running around. Oh my God, the character I've been waiting to see forever.
Yes.
Like, oh my gosh. So, but yeah, so I forget what all I was saying with that, but yeah, it's I really enjoyed it. I thought the Luke stuff was really kind of cool. The Ahsoka stuff is really kind of cool. Hope we get more of that going in the future, just because I like those interactions. And if somehow we get Mara Jade mixed in with that, oh my gosh, that would be super cool. So
right.
Yes, it would.
So now we get to like the team that Boba Fett brings together. What do you guys think about that in the final episode?
So for the finale, my only wish is that Cobb Vanth would have been part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
He of course gets shot by Cad Bane and didn't die, but he did get pretty badly injured. But so we get Boba, we get Fennec Shan, we get Mando, they go to ask Cobb Vanth, but he gets shot. We get Black Chrysanthemum, we get like all the people of Freetown, we get the mods, we have his Gamorreans, which really on the Gamorreans, are you serious? Did we completely forget that they saved Boba's butt in the first episode, so they didn't even try to fight back?
Did we forget that that's what they do? They're fighters.
Yeah.
And they're just like pushed off a cliff. That was disappointing. That was like
that made me sad and angry.
In the final episode, I liked all of the fight scenes. I liked the humor that was put in there in the middle. I liked all of it except for that. I thought that was kind of a
cheap
disappointment.
Death. Yeah.
It was a cheap death. It was like, why? They didn't even really fight.
No, they didn't even try. They just
got backed off a cliff.
That we know of. I mean, they didn't focus too much. They showed him falling off. They showed the whole mob coming at him. I mean, we don't know exactly what they did, but
it was not.
You would expect more.
Yeah,
I expected some more fight scenes there. I expected them to go down on a sword or something to happen where the mob just overwhelms them.
Not just fall off a cliff.
Dramatically, right.
At least have them like knock through a few of them and like, oh, we're doing great. We're getting them all. We're knocking them all down, and then just dozens of them come pouring out and swarm them. Kind of like what they did with Black Chrysanthemum.
Right.
Except his was a fake out.
But there were on screen there was 6 or 8 of them.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking. I think they would have taken them.
Yeah. They could have at least put up a pretty damn good fight.
They would have taken some of them out, but they didn't take any of them out. And I felt like that.
We know of. Right. It was on screen. Right.
Right. None on screen. And I felt like that was a cop-out. I don't think... That was the one I was like... Because we were watching it, I was like, fight. Like, they never showed them fighting, really.
Right. No, I agree with you.
Showed them backing up. First of all, these are not they're not known for retreat. They don't like, you know what I mean? They're always rushing out to the fight. They're not like backing up until they fall off a cliff, which is what they did. And I felt like that was my one thing I was like really disappointed in the finale with. Everything else I really liked. Yeah, you talked about like the fake out where we thought like, because Boba Fett separates his troops into different areas and they all get attacked by different families. Basically, it's The Godfather.
It really was, and yeah.
But No, that one was just no. And I actually like the mods. I know Shpoo does not like the mods, but I find them. I think they focus too much on them. I don't
I
think they're
don't
the most
mind the
intriguing.
concept. I just don't like the look.
But I like the look because I think that it brings a like.
This is what the youth of Star Wars is like.
Right. Well,
like
it's a dark.
It's
a
too
dark
polished. If that makes like, I'm fine with polished. That's fine, but it's too polished. We have, even in the prequels, have never seen anything that polished, and it sticks out like a sore thumb.
But I think that's the point. You think about it. If you live, these are like punks. They're punks. They're like street punks. They want to rebel against it, and you live on a desert planet that is just everything's drab and not colorful and not flashy. You're going to like, as a teenage rebellion kind of thing, you're going to try to do the opposite of that. It's like when your kid goes to, a very conservative country school and they become like the goth kid. It's exactly the same thing, except
I guess my other problem with it is, like, so you've got all these kids, they've all got all these like cybernetic modifications to them, but like not once did any of that come in handy. So it was there for purely an aesthetic reason. Right. You didn't have somebody that's like, I mean, I think like the one time the guy used his eye that was like, oh, somebody's coming or whatever. But like, you never saw, I don't know. Like, they didn't use any of it for anything.
But
so Shpoo was waiting for
or something like that, or
Shpoo was waiting for the bionic sounds.
Well, and see, that's the thing is, I feel like just because I liked it because they didn't do that, because I felt like it's kind of like you lose an eye and so they're going to replace it with something. It doesn't mean it's more powerful. It's just replacing.
Well, these were all modifications that they chose to do. They identify as droids.
and you're telling me that you've seen the $6 Million Man and don't know those replacement parts are going to be better for you?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, right?
Well, I mean, there was like the one time where where Boba comes walking in with Fennec and the kid like switches the thing and you see but we don't even know what that did. It's like, okay, what you need a new lens to look at them. You got like deep vision on there or something. What are you doing with that?
You just think they should have done more with the bionic stuff.
Do anything with it. It's like, what's the purpose of having cybernetics if it doesn't come in useful?
Here's what I don't want to see, though, with it, is I don't want to see it be what saves everybody.
No, I don't either.
You don't even really talk about also, oh, yeah, I've got this. I'm like, oh, come on. I don't want to see that.
You could have somebody, have, like you said, have somebody with like an audio thing or a visual thing, or you've got a droid hand, give us a situation where, a normal person would have lost their grip on something and you didn't.
Well,
just anything, do something, give us a reason for that to be there other than, oh, this looks neat.
But I think it's mods. It's like the people in our society that, split their tongue and pierce things because it's an aesthetic thing. It doesn't enhance anything. It's because it's an aesthetic thing.
Some people say it does. I don't know. Anyway,
you know what I mean? It's an aesthetic thing.
That was rather randy.
No, we just go on, kid friendly. We just move on.
I didn't say what. I'm just saying. But yeah. But no, I kind of thought of it kind of like with the punk movement in the 80s. One, you've got the 80s colors, but then you've got the hair. You're basically making the statement that I'm different and unique, along with my own different.
I know. I just don't understand. It's a nitpicky thing.
Sure.
And I wholeheartedly admit that. I just think if you're going to have it there, make it just once, even just once. Have it be useful.
Well, I don't think these kids are thinking like that when they get these modifications. However, the in credit scene, I think he will be thinking like that.
Right.
And
So,
I think that's where that will come in. Because these kids are not thinking like that.
Oh,
That's
I'm
not
coming
what
out again.
So here's what Mandy had to say. We'll let Shpoo come back. We'll pull it up.
GAAURD. Sorry, the grandson was asking a question.
No, that's all right. So we'll wait to pull. But Mandy's got a comment, but I want to have Shpoo in on this when he comes back. Okay, here he is. All right, let's bring him in.
Very tired of this.
I think that will this will add to the conversation here.
Okay.
Mandy should just come on with us. Is all we should have done here. We should have had her from the beginning.
Right.
Fair enough. Like I said, it's totally a nitpicky thing, and I know that, and I mentioned that it was there purely for aesthetic reasons. But like,
Mandy, I love you.
I don't know. I'm just saying that I don't like that in Star Wars. I don't know. It doesn't fit.
Right. You wouldn't choose it if you lived like you would choose something that enhanced something. I'm just saying these are young kids, and it's not.
No, I'm saying from just a pure storytelling aspect that it's like, trying to think of a good example. It would be like okay, let's go back to The Godfather. Okay, so this was obviously heavily inspired by The Godfather, Part 2 specifically. But like, let's say Michael Corleone is like, I got to hire some street thugs to help me, do whatever. Let's specifically go look for somebody with a lot of tattoos. You wouldn't do that. That's my point. It's like, don't throw it into the story.
But I don't.
If it's there for absolutely no reason whatsoever, and it like, I mean, okay, so yes, you could have it be an alien race, and that would be an aesthetic choice as well. So that would be fine. I guess my only real problem with it is an aesthetic thing that doesn't fit. It doesn't look like Star Wars.
I would agree with you if Boba Fett would have gone out to find them and hired them. He wouldn't have chosen them because their modifications didn't do anything. He chose them because they're from the city.
Yeah.
They know.
No, I know that. I know that. I'm. It literally boils down to, it doesn't look like Star Wars, so it doesn't fit. And so because of the fact that it doesn't look like Star Wars and it doesn't fit, then the modifications, and really it's not even the modifications so much as it is their bikes. I hate their bikes. I hate them with a fiery vengeance. I hate them. But
that's one of the things about them that I loved, was because as a mom who's had a teenager who's literally tried to rebel against everything that his hometown is, they are nothing in this town. Like, they are considered nothing, and they're going to rebel. And how do you rebel against like the most drab town ever?
Oh no, I get that. Really, I absolutely get that. I'm saying from a storytelling standpoint, it doesn't make sense to put it in there without a reason.
I think the reason...
We learned the reason in season 2.
If we do, then great. I'll retract my statements. I'm just saying that right now I don't like it because it doesn't make sense.
And see, I thought it...
Fair enough.
I thought it made sense in a storytelling way. So there we go. See, we don't always agree.
There you are. That's true. Don't always agree. You don't have to always agree. That's the beauty of it.
So we talked about the team Boba Fett got for the finale. Let's talk about the fight scenes and what surprised you. What were you excited about? That sort of thing. Larry, what were you excited about when all the fight scenes came, and in what moments were you like, yes?
When Mando and Boba Fett kind of went out and they were kind of tag teaming with each other and going around each other's backs, and very fluid movements there, protecting each other. I really enjoyed that. That's one of those aesthetic things that you've seen it in other things. It's not the first time it's been done, but it was really cool. Well done with Mando and Boba. Really enjoyed
flying and
yeah. And of course, I loved the CAD little high, showdown at high noon sort of setting where they're sitting there going to draw guns. I loved all that. I thought that was awesome because you do play into this is very much a Western in that sense.
Yeah.
And you come back to that with this character. And so you get that again. So, yeah.
What about you, Shpoo?
Agreed. That it was awesome to see them, like, they come out and they both immediately start flying. I'm like, oh my God, they're using the jetpacks. They never use the freaking jetpacks. So they're flying around doing all this stuff. And then, yes, once they started like flipping all over the place and doing all sorts of fight moves and dips and dives and whatever, that was like Robert Rodriguez has been the showrunner for this season. And while some of his storytelling wasn't necessarily the best, the dude knows how to do a fight scene.
Yes, he does.
He always has. The episode where Boba first showed up in Mando season 2, that was a Robert Rodriguez episode. And so, yeah, that really shone through in all of that. But then there was the thing, of course, the penultimate moment, the thing that I had completely forgotten about. They're getting their butts kicked, and the Scorpion droids, which was supposed to have been in episode 2, they're in the concept art for episode 2. They're like the Droideca's next evolution. So those show up and start shooting everything down, and Boba's they can't get through. They can't get through the shields. So Boba's like, "I'll be right back." Takes off, and I completely forgot. And I'm like, well, what's he going to go get the sand? Wait, well, no, all the sand people are dead. Maybe a different tribe or something. I completely forgot the dude's got a rancor.
Yep.
So all of a sudden you just hear this roar and see this hand come over the top of a building, and then the other hand, Boba Fett riding a rancor over the rooftops of Mos Espa. Oh, dear Lord, a rancor versus a giant war droid.
Right.
Oh God, that was hands down the coolest Star Wars ever.
So I loved how the fight began when he sent the guy out with the
yes. The list of demands from our surrender.
This is our demands for surrender. Like, you knew as soon as he said the word surrender, like, that's not what this is going to be. and
I love how floweredly he's trying to speak, because that's his whole job.
And he's reading this, and he's like, our demands are, and you can see this look on his face, and you're like, oh God,
I wish I would have read this ahead of time.
Yes.
It's like, why don't you give me your list of demands?
Yeah, read. And he's just like, oh God.
Nothing.
Love that part. That part was beautiful, and it was a great setup for Mando and Boba Fett to come out, rush out. It gave them a moment to like figure out a plan, because they were just going to rush out. This gave them that like time to figure out what they wanted to do. I loved that. I loved that we got to see Grogu reunite with Mando, and it's in the middle of the fight, but he force jumps and hugs his dad. Like, it's super cute. I did find it like a little, the flirting, you know which one of the flirting, like the tail.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was weird. The guy, I don't know his name, the guy who comes out with the negotiation thing, when the mechanic sees him and she starts flirting with him. That was disturbing.
God, I hope they make that a thing. That would be hilarious.
But then I was like, she dated a Jawa. It's like,
and they're furry.
And Twi'leks are supposed to be like the most like sexually desired species in all of Star Wars. They're like, that's what they're known for.
I know, but not him. But not him.
That's why you have him dancing in Jabba's palace.
Yeah.
Right. But I thought that was great humor added to it. But then when you get Grogu and using the Force to break up the little scorpion droid. Like,
And the part flies off and knocks him
and
over.
the one little bolt. It was so cute. And then my favorite part was nap time.
Yes. So after fighting, the Rancor is obviously very angry.
Yes,
and people keep shooting fire at it, so he's not too happy about that either. So Grogu uses the Force to put the Rancor to sleep, and then he cuddles up next to it, and they both take a nap.
Of course, the Rancor had that King Kong moment too.
He did.
Yes,
climb to the top. I kept waiting for biplanes to come over. You know,
that would have been
or X-wings.
X-wings. X-wings would have been a cool thing there too. Yeah.
But no, I just thought that was probably I was like, oh my gosh, it's so cute. Because I called the Rancor the baby the whole time. Like everybody calls, Grogu Baby Yoda. The whole time I'm like, oh, don't hurt the baby. Don't hurt the baby. Don't this is like
quit shooting fire at the baby.
Don't let the fire hurt the baby. This was literally the conversation I had with the TV. But I was like, oh, the babies are gonna get to be friends, and then he comes out and he just like helps him go to sleep and calm down, and then he just goes up to him and he pets his little nose, and then
I loved that. That was the cutest thing.
And I'm just like, oh, they're friends. They're friends now.
Right.
Boba Fett has his baby. Mando has his baby, and they're friends.
I just hope we get to have a play date at some point in time.
Well, probably Mandalorian season 3.
Be Grogu riding the Rancor.
Oh my god!
I did like that with the worms for Grogu. It's like, oh, he's gonna eat. R2's there. It's like, you hush up. The baby's got to eat. And
I was watching something that was like, may you be as happy as Grogu eating worms.
Right. Also, I love that little dig at like people who hated Grogu's name. Like when she's like, oh, Bright Eyes, and she picks him up.
That's a terrible name. I'm not telling you that.
I was like, that's like a dig at people. But overall, I really, really enjoyed the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah,
there were some parts that were like a little slow. There was
a slow starter, but in the end,
mine is slow starter as long as I know we're going to go somewhere fun.
Right.
And I trusted we were going somewhere fun, so I was okay with it.
So here's one thing we haven't really talked about.
Before we go there, hold on. Let's have a couple more things from Mandy here.
That is.
But I think that's on purpose. I mean, right? Hey, you be the distraction, but we're not going to tell you you're going to be the distraction.
Yes,
thanks.
Yeah, so funny, so funny.
And hell, losing the tooth, yeah.
Oh yeah,
look, I got a couple of them actually.
Yeah.
So during this whole fight, with the scorpion droids, there's 2 of them, and all the people and everything. I'm just like, where is she? Where did she go?
Right.
Because we're missing somebody very important.
Yep.
And I remember where she went, but I
remember him telling her to go to Mos Eisley, but I had missed like what he had said about going there.
Right.
And so all I knew was, well, she went to Mos Eisley for something.
Right. Gonna go get help at Mos Eisley. Nope.
Yeah.
That's not it.
Yeah. Well, I remember that they asked that the Twilight guy if that's where they were, if that's where the the head guys were, the mayor, all of them, and all I could think is she goes in there, the badass that she is, and I know we don't curse, but let's face it, the badass that she is, and she literally kills all of them.
Yeah.
Single-handedly, yeah.
Why did they
even really knowing who she was? She did it stealth to where they had no idea who it was that was killing them.
Why didn't they do that to begin with?
Right? You could have just solved this entire conflict with just that. Took out all the crime boss heads, the mayor, and the Pikes, all in one fell swoop.
Why didn't they just do like, hey, you know what? There's a war coming. Let's go find out where the headquarters is, and you go kill everybody. Like, that's literally what they could have done. I mean, it wouldn't have made for interesting TV, but I feel like it would have been like a more strategic thing to do.
So you can see that coming on how it should have ended, right? That'll be
yeah.
All right, here you go. They're dead. All right. Yep. The biggest, coolest character in the whole show is Fennec. I mean, that's just simple. I mean,
see, I really like her, but I actually, what's his name? Black. What's it? I can't say his name.
Black Chrysanthemum.
Yes, he's cool too. I agree.
He is my favorite, and when they were like all, I was like, they're not killing him. Like, why would you introduce a character that great just to let him die? Like, there's no
Return
way.
of the Jedi Boba Fett.
I know.
True.
And that's what literally.
It's been done in Star Wars numerous times.
I know. And I just didn't want them to do that because he's.
But this is Disney. Disney likes their cash.
Yeah, and he is a
so popular characters aren't going to die like that anymore. But there is something that kind of ties outside of Book of Boba Fett that I kind of want to see in season 2, and maybe the reason why we haven't seen this yet is because of a different season 2 that's not out yet. But have you watched The Bad Batch?
Mm-hmm.
Because Fennec Shand is in The Bad Batch.
Yep.
And The Bad Batch introduced another character that is also a clone of Jango Fett. So is essentially Boba Fett's sister.
Right.
And Fennec Shand knows all about her. Hadn't said a word.
Right.
Where is she? How, what's going on with all of that? Think maybe Boba would want to know. But yeah, I'm guessing it's just because Bad Batch season 2 hasn't come out yet, so we don't really know where that story's going yet.
Right.
But I was kind of waiting for something to come up at some point about that, and it never did.
Sister.
You twin sister.
I mean, let's face it. They use the same storylines all the time. Hollywood does. Just in general.
Right.
Not just Star Wars. I'm not just Hollywood in general. Like, that's
so here's Mandy's answer to why they didn't just go kill them at the beginning and just not have the war. Maybe they didn't know where they were. That's true.
That's true too.
No,
they don't know till the last episode though, when they ask them where they're at.
Why? But they've had him for a couple episodes now.
But why would you ask him? And is he really? He's cooperating at a level not to die. I don't think he's cooperating at a level because he's probably playing both sides at this point. Oh, no, whoever wins, I want to be on their side clearly, so I don't get killed, and I get to do my job.
But they have a Rancor. Like, he's going to say anything. No, I'm just saying, threaten him.
If you fed him to the Rancor, yes, he would talk right away.
Right.
Because he's not quiet mouthed. He's going like,
He's literally going to do whatever he has to do to survive.
Because you got a Wookiee that could rip his arms out of socket.
Exactly.
I mean, come on,
you
whatever.
Just literally threatened Boba Fett.
That was another thing when they just blatantly had him rip out that Trandoshan's arms. Yes. I really thought Bosk was going to show up. And that was another one of those things. It was like, well, what was the point of having that there if you weren't going to go anywhere with it?
Then they sent him. That's where they sent him.
I know. Yeah.
Like, when they split up the team, they sent
Yeah, that was kind of the payoff for that, was just because, you don't like Trandoshans. Trandoshans don't like you, so go ahead and head over there.
But it was supposedly, not a warfare thing. It was supposedly to keep the peace. Don't send him. Oh.
Yeah, maybe a little misstep there,
Right.
Yeah, we all those missteps.
I felt the frustration in Shpoo right there.
I know. When we started going robot on him again.
Well, but I really liked it. I love the end credit scene. I think that opens it up, because I know Shpoo was like, they can't have killed him off, and then the end credit scene comes, and so we're going to see some modifications, and I want to see what that's going to look like.
Give him some armor.
Right? Something. He needs armor.
He does. Maybe Boba will give him his a spare set or something.
I doubt it.
Well, he doesn't have a spare set.
I was going to say, yeah, I don't think.
But he could probably find some. He can afford it. Like, he's got money. Apparently, he's rich. So it's all.
Now.
But yeah, then walking through the streets, eating the fruit. It's all Godfather. That's what, But I really liked it. I thought they did well. I'm looking forward to the new series that are coming up, and
yes,
I like that. I love that these series are allowing these stories that would not make it to a big screen movie.
Smaller scale stories. And yet
it
they're not as small scale as we would be used to seeing on TV.
Right. They're in the middle there. They're like, and I like that because I feel like it gives fresh content. Yes, there are some things that are trope and that they're going to get used over and over again, but it gives us, like I said, who would have thought that the Tusken Raiders had like Vision Quest and had reason, like no one, we didn't know this stuff. Who would have thought the Rancor like bonds with the first thing it sees? And
who would have known that Jawas were furry?
Right.
And capable of being intimate with a human.
Apparently pretty good at it. I don't know.
Who would have ever wanted to know that?
There are some things they shouldn't have told us. No.
Oh, come on. You wanted to know.
Jawas always creeped me out. Like, out of every creature ever in Star Wars, Jawas are the ones that creep me out. And then they're stealing the stuff. At one point, they're stealing all the stuff. Mm-hmm. And I look at Shpoo and I was like, why doesn't anybody ever stop them? They literally just steal everything all the time. Like,
they're just kind of used to it by now. Like,
that's what Jawas do. Yeah.
Yes. But if just because somebody's always a thief, if they come in and steal your stuff, are you just going to be like,
I mean, we've seen people stop them from stealing their own stuff. Like, hey, that's my stuff. Get out of there.
Right.
But yeah, they don't tend to say, if it's not your stuff, then who cares? Doesn't affect me.
Kind of the way of Tatooine, isn't it? That's kind of Tatooine.
Yeah. I was going forward. Do you guys think that they mentioned water on Tatooine enough? That we're going to see something with that?
I don't think we'll ever see that. I think it's too far gone now, but
they mentioned it a lot.
They did mention it a lot.
Like, I was kept wondering, why do they keep mentioning it? It used to be covered in like all the time.
Well, I think, and I was watching something that was actually talking about that. And they were saying that, like, more than a hint that it's going to return to that, it's more of a throwback to the fact that as much as they talked about water on Tatooine, he also talked about how he grew up on a water planet. So I think it's just making that connection.
The skin and the water are very similar in some ways.
Right. Yeah. Well, and we know that the water doesn't return because at the end, especially if it's in the same.
Oh yeah, at the end of
Rise
of Skywalker,
Rey goes back and it's still sand.
Well, at that point, it may, in 1,000 years in the future, who knows?
Right. But I was like, why do they keep? That was the one thing I'm like, okay, they mentioned it like 5 times in one episode. And I'm like, why do they keep mentioning this? Like,
yeah,
I felt like it was.
Where are you going with this now?
Where are you going with it? Yes. But.
Yeah, so, they did. They're setting it up to possibility of having something there. So maybe, they supposedly discover water and find that, it's either limited or doesn't really exist or something. And
right.
Right. An oasis somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
Could
the
be.
Dune Sea becomes a real Dune Sea. Yeah. All right.
A Dune Sea.
Yeah, exactly.
I live with him. I'm just saying. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, so 1 out of 5 stars. What do you give the Book of Boba?
3.5.
What about you?
Had its moments where I didn't really care for, but overall, I liked it.
I liked it more. I enjoyed the whole time. I won't lie. I'm a fanboy. And even though being a fanboy, I don't always love it as much, but I really enjoyed my time. Even the sand people, even the little things that were a little slow, I felt it building, and I really enjoyed it. 4.5.
Well, you guys are both huge Star Wars fans. I'm not as much. I enjoy them, but I don't know all the history. I like I said, you guys have helped me out with like names of stuff and even characters because I'm just like, oh, the baby. That's just how I am. I would probably give it a 3.
Yeah.
It was. I will give the last episode a 4.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say 4.5 for the last episode.
Yeah, but I just felt like there were parts of it that were like okay, but I really enjoyed it. There are Star Wars things that I give way less than 3 to, so there's that.
Right. Oh yeah. No, I completely understand that. Yeah.
So
well, I if we don't have the scenes with Luke and Ahsoka and Grogu, and that really kind of brought me in even more. And I was like, okay, I'm so sold because
right.
Like, oh, I want to know more about this.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but yeah, I really enjoyed it, and as long as we're at least somewhat enjoying it and having a good time with it, that's the important part. It doesn't have to be Shakespeare.
No, and I think that anyone who enjoys the Star Wars universe will enjoy this, and I think anyone who has just really longed to understand more about these people from Boba Fett to the Tusken Raiders to the Rancor, any of these characters or any of these creatures that you're just like, I want to know more about. This is a good show for them to delve into. So
So
there was at least something from every episode that made me just like feel like I was 6 years old, watching Return of the Jedi again or something.
Right.
Just something to get extremely excited about for every single episode.
Right.
There was probably something in every episode that I didn't care for as much.
Sure.
Also, but there was way more the good to bad ratio tips way more towards the good side.
I completely agree. To me, it's over on the Jedi side, not on the Sith side, and
yes,
good versus anyway. It's Star
Wars thing. Yeah.
What are you guys thinking about the new other series coming out? So now that we've watched this one, we have Mandalorian, which I'm pretty much most Star Wars fans have just adored season 1 and 2. You've got you've got Book of Boba Fett. Now we've got Obi-Wan coming out and Ahsoka.
I'm excited for that one.
I'm excited for Ahsoka. I think if they tell that story right, it's going to be amazing.
Yes, I think especially because then it most likely means we're going to get a live action Ezra and a live action Thrawn, which I'm really looking forward to that. I think really the only one that I'm not like completely super stoked for would be Andor.
Yeah.
He's just such a bland character, and I mean, they could do it in a way like, okay, it's an interesting twist to know here is a guy who works for the rebellion who was essentially like, you're the guy that goes out and kills people that we need killed.
Right.
So you could make like the first truly dark Star Wars story.
Right.
And that could be very, very interesting. But beyond that, he was just such a bland character that I'm like, I don't care.
I think if they go the route of, because he's basically an assassin, if they go the route of bringing you into the people that he does kill and their stories, I think
show us the dirty side of the rebellion.
Yeah,
that's what I want to see.
But No, Ahsoka. I'm really excited about it if they do it right. I think her story is such a good story and such has so many different facets and I think it could be really really good. So I'm hoping to see some good stuff from that. So what about you, Professor?
Well,
Oh my
I'm
God,
excited.
seriously.
I'm excited for definitely
If you
excited for
guys can
Ahsoka
can
and
you hear?
Obi-Wan.
Give me a thumbs up. Am I coming through clear?
Yes.
Okay. We're wrapping it down anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye because it's doing the robot underwater thing again. So sorry I've had so many audio problems this episode,
You're
guys. I
good.
apologize. I wish that wasn't the case because it's very frustrating. Thank you for having me on. Pleasure as always. We'll see you guys next time.
He'll see me in like 5 minutes. It's fine.
Exactly. So no, I'm excited for Obi-Wan we get Hayden Christensen back also, which will be interesting. And I'm not sure how you do that, but I'm interested to see how you have interaction with Obi-Wan and Darth Vader past of the events of Revenge of the Sith. So I'm fascinated. So I'm in because I want to see what's going to happen.
Right.
And I love Obi-Wan. So I'm in. Ahsoka is super exciting also because she's more of that gray Jedi or not quite a Jedi, and kind of that interaction with Luke is interesting because now that they know each other are there, because we never knew that Luke knew about Ahsoka. So you have that, and that's kind of a fascinating thing. I'm hoping we get some interaction there, kind of learn some more, kind of figure some things out.
Right, because Luke, she can tell him so much about his father.
Right. And that was such an interesting comment of that was like with your father.
Right.
When she says that to him, like, oh, wow. And not saying it in a mean way or of,
No, because she always had a good relationship.
Right.
With Anakin. Like she did. And they had a close relationship. And yes, there's some rifts and there's some things happen.
Like he just tried to kill all of her friends.
Right. Well, but
then...
before that, like there's some things that build up.
Right. No, there were.
But that relationship, she's probably, other than Obi-Wan and Padme, she's probably the closest person ever to Anakin.
No, that's true. That is true.
So I feel like if they go into that aspect, it could be very interesting with the whole thing. Do you think they're going to bring a deep fake of Leia in at any point?
I don't know. I mean, you could see it.
Right. Well, and you saw like in with Rey, when she's training Rey, they had the flashbacks of her training,
right?
Would have been with her brother,
right,
training her. So you have these this is how she trained. We could eventually see something with that.
You definitely could. It'd be interesting, especially. I would like to see them bring in actors that look enough alike, but are that are different to go ahead rather than doing the CGI over the top of. I just think that would be great. That's why Sebastian Shaw really appeals to me. One, he's a great actor. Two, he looks like Luke. I mean, my goodness. So
if you do the makeup right, Carrie Fisher's daughter looks.
You're right.
Like her,
most definitely. She was in at least one of the movies, if not more than.
But
I guess she was in.
But they did the CGI over her a little bit.
Right.
I don't think that would be necessary. I know it was like. I know it's like they want it to be who you see as Luke and Leia,
right.
But I don't think it's necessarily. I think we're people our age are so we understand that these people are not here anymore.
Right. Sadly, right.
Or they're older, and they can't do this.
Heck, I am too. So
right. And then I think the younger fans, I don't think that they grasp that, that they don't care. It would just be a new Luke or a new Leia for
how
them.
many different Bonds have we had? I mean,
exactly.
We don't need necessarily to go in and recast everybody and do all that business. But if you're going to bring a character in from 40 years ago, you're going to have somebody else.
They did that with Solo.
Right. And I thought Solo was good. People hated on Solo. I liked Solo.
But I didn't mind the story. Okay, some things about it I liked, some things I didn't. But I didn't hate the casting.
Right.
And that's the thing. So they brought in another Solo.
Right.
So they could bring in, and I don't think it would. I don't think it would affect the franchise as much as they think it would.
Right. Now, with Solo, it was supposed to be before we actually got to know Han. So it was a younger version of himself, where here you're talking about we're putting characters in after we've had their heyday of Return of the Jedi. So after that I do understand where the concern is, but just do it, in my opinion.
I don't look the same as I did 5 years ago, though.
No, I don't either. I've gained a lot more weight, unfortunately.
Right. So... okay, well, Professor, we're hitting the 2-hour mark, and I've got a grandson I gotta spend.
Most definitely. Well, let's do our little sign off. For just to recap, if you haven't seen it and you're a Star Wars fan, Book of Boba Fett, check it out. Think you'll enjoy it overall.
And if you're not,
different, right? No, anywhere from a 3 to a 4.5 is what we rated it. So take that for what you will, and hopefully that's enough to get you excited, because you could just watch the holiday special again, which would be a -5 or something like that.
I thought the holiday special was hilarious.
I was like 7 when it came out, and I'm like, what am I watching?
No, it's terrible, but it's hilarious.
I know. Well, now I think so more, but not as a 7-year-old who's excited for Star Wars, and this is what we get. We're like... What? Why is she singing in the bar?
I never understood it. I'm just saying. I never understood it. But that's okay. Some of my favorite things I don't understand. I'm marrying one of them. It's fine.
The Boba Fett cartoon does make it worthwhile. So right. But anyway, so that's that. We're gonna do our little sign off thing here and wish you all well. Thanks for joining us on a Friday. We will update for when we're going to be on next week. Hopefully. We'll be able to get a consistency in the future here where we're on, so.
My schedule's a little weird right now.
It is, and that's okay. And that's why it's inconsistent, and that's all right. That's not a problem. We're just happy to have you with us, Ace. We've been missing you when you've not been with us. So
only you miss me.
No, trust me. The viewers are like, is it just him again? He's got somebody else with him. Where's Ace? We can't keep doing this. We can lose him, but we can't lose Ace. What are we doing here?
That's not true. That's not true at all.
It is true. That's how everybody feels.
Well, guys, we're not the only people that do this.
We're not.
Love this nerdy, geeky world and share our enthusiasm for these things. And we have some friends who run some great sites and some great shows. And we like to share the love at the end of all of our episodes. So first, head on over to the Ozpod Gals on Facebook, okay? These girls, Amber and Brianna, are from OzCon. We talked about that at the beginning of the episode. They're fun. They do all kinds of funny things. They're beautiful, geeky girls who, I'm telling you, sometimes they do stuff and I'm just like, God bless them. God bless them.
I know, right?
They do challenges that I wouldn't do. But go check them out on Facebook. Give them a like. You got Keith Chimes In down there.
Oh, dang it. Did I hit Keith Chimes In and said, well, I hit the Ozpod Girls and then something happened. I don't know what I did. Okay, so we got Keith Chimes In. Sorry about that, people.
Keith Chimes In is, if you guys have been watching us, you see Mr. Keith comes on here a lot. He's on Pop Culture Minefield, but he's also got his own show over on the Fat Steven Seagal channel on YouTube, and that is Mondays at 3 p.m. He has been dissecting. Is he still doing it?
Yes. Oh my God.
He's been
Well, he's doing one episode at a time, so it takes a while to get through because it was 5 seasons of Babylon 5. And,
right. He just is dissecting every single episode of Babylon 5. Go check it out because trust me, he's going very in depth in this. And as he says, this is one of the best shows ever made, and he loves it. So go see why, and he'll explain all the great insights for that. If you would like to see Keith on something else, go check him out over at Pop Culture Minefield with Gary. That's on YouTube. Be sure when you go on any of these sites, the Facebook, the YouTube and stuff, hit subscribe, hit like, share, comment. Everybody loves that. But Keith and Gary have amazing content. They get you some great scoops, and they know everyone. If you have children in your room or in your house, be sure to put the headphones on because they do curse. And Gary's working on it, but he does. And so they're not quite as kid friendly, but they have enough good content that they're worth a watch.
Right.
Even if you have little kids, just put those headphones on.
Exactly. They're amazing.
We have Tim Church and Josh Grisham over at the Nerd Informants.
Woo!
And that is on YouTube and Facebook. They bring you all kinds of stuff, reviews for movies, video games. They're planning on some fun things coming up in the future. I know because I work with Mr. Church, and they're just really, really good guys. So be sure to go give them a like, hit subscribe and everything. And if you want to share some really interesting nerdy stuff or have a question or share a meme or something, they have set up an amazing Facebook group called the Nerd Informants Beyond, and anyone can join and you can post whatever you would like. We have people on there who ask questions, people who share content like us, and it's just a fun group to be a part of. It is. And then we have the Skallywag himself. You guys saw him earlier in this episode, and that is Shpoo over at Skallywag Productions on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. He's everywhere.
He's everywhere.
We have not been putting out any new content right at the moment. He just had surgery. He's getting cleared from the doctor, and hopefully coming up soon, he will be putting out new content. He did just happen to get what's that little thing called that everybody's on, that all the kids are on, that have the short little videos?
Little TikTok. Oh, that's not it. TikTok.
TikTok. He did just get on TikTok, and I think he's going to be starting to put some content on there as well. So be sure to go check him out. Follow him on Facebook. He will post all of those things, but go check out the YouTube because he has some great videos and content from years and years of nerdy stuff.
Yes, he does.
And then there's us.
There is us.
GeekyKOOL.com. We have our own website where we have contributors from all over the place sharing all kinds of really cool things. And if you want to be a contributor, let us know. We are always looking for new contributors, but we bring you all things nerdy. So I don't do it quite as well as Shpoo does.
Well, you did it great though. So, I mean, that was great. So yes, yeah, if you guys check us out, if you have any questions, let us know, and we are happy to answer your questions, and always happy to work with new people. And we love our existing people. We have great contributors. Some of them don't contribute as much as I would love to see, but it is we have amazing people. And in a couple weeks, we're going to have Morgan on with us to talk about her new audiobook and information. And so that's one of our contributors and one of the great authors in our local area. Yeah. So we'll have her on with us in just a couple of weeks to talk about that. And if you know anybody that would like to come on the show with us to talk about nerdy, geeky stuff, let us know. We're happy to bring them on with us. We love our guests. We do. Be our guest. I won't sing. No, I shouldn't. I really shouldn't. People will start. I mean, the down arrow will start hitting all over YouTube if I'm singing. So. We'll have Shpoo sing. He sings really well. There you go. But yes, be sure to check us out. And like I said, hit subscribe if you're on our YouTube channels. Hit like if you're on our Facebook. Follow if you're on Twitter. Any of those things, and let us know what you think. Exactly. All right. So we'll try to keep you guys updated on the next time. And we have new stuff coming out every day on GeekyKOOL.com. So check that out. And until then, stay geeky, everybody.